Fade in. Hello, I am Michelle.
And I'm Natalie the Red.
And we are Force of Light Entertainment. Well, today we wanted to discuss some of the recent drama from Lord of the Rings, the TV show, coming from one of the major fan sites, onering.net. And we want to discuss too, we'll get into that in a minute. But we've actually brought this show up to talk about it because I feel like things keep coming out about this Lord of the Rings show that are a little alarming if you're a Lord of the Rings fan.
A little suspicious.
Yeah, we've actually talked about the show on our weekly roundup shows like 2 out of the last 3 weeks because of different things that have come up with it. And I actually want to start this because if you want to see verbatim what onering.net tweeted out, all the stuff, then go check out either Anna Star Wars Girl or Geeks and Gamers or Ryan Kendall. Check out they did a video where they kind of walk you through the crazy tweets that were tweeted out the other day. So check those videos. Check.
Some were truly crazy.
They were. And we're going to get into the one that really kind of made me laugh. We're going to get into that later. But first, I wanted to address some of the issues and concerns the legitimate concerns that Lord of the Rings fans have over this new Amazon show, which this new Amazon show is going to be like the most expensive show ever. I mean, I think they've already spent $500 million and we don't even have a first episode. I mean, absurd money for the show for a franchise that back in the early 2000s, each movie made over $1 billion. So it is a beloved franchise. In fact, we just at the very beginning of this year, watched Lord of the Rings through for the very first time. And I'm actually finishing up the second time watching this trilogy through and really love it. Grew to love it and appreciate the world building, the characters in the story.
She does. She talks about it all the time.
Yes, the symbolism. There's so much greatness in Lord of the Rings. And so as I began to look into this Amazon show, there began to be red flags for me that are just kind of going off. And I think are going off for so many Lord of the Rings fans. So that kind of, and we'll start with this. One of the things that people have heard, in fact, months and months ago, is this idea that they are bringing in an intimacy coach to help them and have even, I believe, tried to cast people that are fine with showing themselves, we'll just say showing a little nudity on screen.
I'm just going to say it. Why do you need an intimacy coach for a Lord of the Rings show?
Exactly. And this is red flag number one, that everyone who is a fan of Lord of the Rings feels this red flag.
Who asked for this?
No one asked for this. Amazon, if people want that, there's a fantasy show called Game of Thrones. They can go watch all the nudity.
You can go stream them now.
You can go watch nudity and sex and everything else you want. But that is not Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is it is a true fantasy that is family friendly, that has even faith-centered symbolism in it, and definitely has no nudity and doesn't need nudity. No one wants to watch the elves or any of these people
get their freak on.
No, that's not it.
I mean, maybe you do. I don't.
Well, in fact, here's what
I don't judge.
Here's what I want to say too, is that there's literally a petition. I've signed it. In fact, our mother sent it to us, and she's never even seen Lord of the Rings. That's how big this petition is. And it's literally to keep nudity out of Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings. And I signed it because I'm hashtag make Middle Earth great again. But anyways.
What people don't know is all of Middle Earth are actually what they call never nudes. they always have little shorts on in the shower.
But she had to go Arrested Development on that, apparently. But anyways, so with this petition, I was going to say this before we get into what onering.net was saying, this fan site. Here's my thing. Amazon, the people making the show that have invested so much money, they have to know that there's literally a petition and fans are genuinely concerned over this idea. So why have they not just squashed it? They could send a one-line thing to a trade and let them run it of there's no nudity in the show, period. And all of this, these red flags that so many of us are feeling would be squashed and we wouldn't talk about it anymore.
Because they're going to do what they want to do. And, I think like in cases like with a franchise and stuff, they're going to draw people in that are fans of the Lord of the Rings and introduce their ideologies and things through this thing that they know people are going to be drawn to watch at first.
Yes, and that's everyone's fear. And that's what you guys let me know below. But I just think the fact, and with one sentence sent to a trade, a major trade to publish this, they could squash this rumor and petition, and they've not done it, which makes me kind of lean towards, oh gosh, are they really going to do that?
I think they're really going to.
So we'll have
evidence points to that.
We'll have to see about that. And if anyone from Amazon is watching, just send out something to a trade and let them run, that there's no nudity. No need to panic, guys. No need to worry. We're making a great Lord of the Rings show. So then you also have in these recent weeks, these talks about how they've got to fit for this global, because of how much money they spend, it's got to be for a diverse global audience. And guess what? The first Lord of the Rings did have a global diverse audience. I know people of every race that loves Lord of the Rings. But here's also a thing about Lord of the Rings, guys, which you chose to do. It was meant to be a mythology of England, kind of in the medieval times.
Right.
And England in the medieval times is what it is. It was very Caucasian. That's just how it is. So there are concerns of even, like, you know, if you bring people in that aren't from England, that's fine. Just give them a good backstory of why they're now in England. That's kind of the things you got to do.
Right.
It's kind of like if you went back, I mean, in any fictitious world, there should be a lot of people that aren't of African descent in Wakanda. I mean, that's just, it is what it is.
Well, and just furthermore, good movies, they just, you know, they don't have to be this or that. Like, I mean, I'll share, we were in Atlanta watching A Quiet Place 2, and the theater was kind of half and half as far as white people and black people. You know, it's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, people enjoy what they enjoy. One of the funniest movies I've saw in theaters in the last couple of years was a mostly black movie, and it cracked me up. But anyway,
like, I loved The Nutty Professor as a kid. Watched it a million times.
Yeah, but anyways, moving on. So there's kind of this talk about that, which kind of is another red flag of they're going to make this not Lord of the Rings. They're going to keep doing what they're going to do. So then it moves on into onering.net and what they began to get at. And that's basically anyone who has these concerns that, like I just said, that, well, that's the lore, basically, right? The lore of Lord of the Rings is an ist and a phobe and all this other nonsense that they always spew. And it just gets old, because no, it's not that way. But when it is, again, a mythology for England in the medieval times, it's going to be a certain segment group of people. That just is what it is.
Well, it just sounds like in multiple ways they're trying to take maybe too much creative license.
Yes, and that's what we're saying. No one's going to be happy with. Like, let Lord of the Rings be Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's already a beautiful thing.
Yes, and no one wants nudity in Lord of the Rings. And if you do, you need to go check yourself. But anyways, this person goes on, and this is the real kicker I wanted to get to, and this is that they called Tolkien woke. Okay. Tolkien,
he was woke in anticipation before woke was a thing. He was living woke.
And the reason they call him woke is because they say that he stood against hate. Let me tell you really quickly why Tolkien's books do inspire peace and love and to stand against hate. Because Tolkien was a devout Christian, and Christians, despite what most true woke people actually believe, hence why they've got to go after Chris Pratt all the time, Christians actually stand against hate. And that's why Tolkien's work is the way that it is. So then they end it with claiming that they've come against, the site has had to come against homophobic type of comments and stuff for decades now. And maybe there's been a few jerks along the way that made really degrading comments or something. But here, and
which is never helpful. Just don't do it.
And the reason they say that is because Ian McKinley, or I believe I said his last name right, the guy who plays Gandalf, I guess is gay in real life, which I just found this out today. I didn't know that. I mean, it just wasn't a big deal as he plays Gandalf. You're not sitting there thinking who he sleeps with. That's not what crosses normal people's minds.
No.
And I've literally, in this time that we've watched Lord of the Rings, talked to so many fans of Lord of the Rings. I've never heard a single person raise that issue. Not one person.
I mean, I haven't.
I didn't even know he was gay in real life. I didn't know that.
And like Michelle said, it's just kind of a non-issue.
He's playing Gandalf. He's playing a character. So again, to that, when he puts that, I mean, maybe there's been a few jerks in the last 20 years, but I personally have not met a single soul who has ever brought that up as like an issue or a negative with Lord of the Rings.
Like, hey, I know you girls are going to watch these movies, just so you know.
Yeah, just watch out. Be careful. Because the guy plays Gandalf. I mean, no one thinks this way.
Yeah.
No one talks this way. It's absolutely absurd.
We're hashtag not bothered. Okay?
Yeah. And I think here's the kicker too, with why onering.net is kind of a thing. I guess they've had access to this Amazon show, and the way they're already beginning to paint this narrative of fans who do not like this are ist and phobes is kind of,
you know what? That's what they always resort to.
It's kind of telling of almost, again, more red flags of where the show is going to go.
If you've been paying attention long enough, it actually gets kind of comical.
It really does.
So ridiculous.
It really does. And no, maybe fans, straight up, if there's nudity in Lord of the Rings Amazon show, I'm not watching it. I'm turning it off because that's not Lord of the Rings. So there you go. That's my stance on that. And I know a lot of other people are going to feel the same way.
And if you don't feel that way, that's okay. We're just expressing our opinion. We all can do that.
It's fine, Natalie, but that's not Tolkien.
Right. Yeah.
So that's not Lord of the Rings. So if you want to watch nudity, you can get HBO Max and have at it with all the nudity you want in Game of Thrones.
But
Go
it's
for
kind
it.
of, and I didn't know him. But it's like, I kind of doubt, like in his time period and the things that he wrote, I kind of doubt he was like wanting there to be nudity in it down the line.
If he wanted it, he would have put it in it.
Yeah.
Don't you guys think? I mean, I think that's pretty simple.
I mean, if you know what I'm saying, smutty novels have been out there for a long time. Nothing new under the sun there.
Yeah.
So.
These are wholesome, clean, classic hero tales of good versus evil. That's what they are, and that's what they need to be. And yes, they are about medieval England. Take that for what that is. But anyways, guys, that's kind of it. The main thing that really got me, though, that made me laugh, one, I just see the same old trend of they're preemptively warning. If you don't like this show that may really mess with the lore of Lord of the Rings, you are an ist and a phobe. Okay. That's just ridiculous for starters.
Like, that's going to make people scared into like, okay, I like it now. I don't want to be called that. We get called all the time anyway.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. And then secondly, that Tolkien was woke. No, he wasn't woke. Tolkien was a devout Christian, and Christians, yet again, aren't for true Christianity is about love, and even
hope, peace, and love.
Yes, I mean, exactly. That's what Lord of the Rings is. But anyways, guys, that's our thoughts on just kind of this crazy. If you guys again want to see the full everything that was said, you can check out Anna, Star Wars Girl, either Geeks and Gamers or Ryan Kennel. They all have videos on exactly kind of the exchange that happened on Twitter with this big fan site. But it's just the same old stuff, guys, really. But anyways, that's kind of it for our thoughts on what's going down. I'm going to watch the first couple episodes of the show because I hope they do it justice, and I hope it's great. But again, why are they not squashing this rumor that literally has a big petition being signed and has been being signed for months now? Just squash it with one line if it's not going to be in there, but We'll see. But anyways, that is it for this episode or this video of Force of Light Entertainment. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, remember to be a force of light. All right, bye, guys.